Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portress, and I'm joined by Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
I'm not an award-winning podcaster.
And of course, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and I wish I had me one of those baby carts.
Oh man, do you want to be a baby cart pusher or baby cart rider?
Why push when you can ride, man? What kind of stupid question is that?
That's a good point. That kid looks like he was pretty satiated along those bumpy roads.
If my youngest was a little bit younger, guess what kind of haircut he'd be getting?
It's for cosplay purposes. You shut up and just... But this week, we're going back to a series of movies that we started last year, and we said, hey, let's do one of these every now and again. And we're talking about Lone Wolf and Cub, Baby Cart to the River Styx. Ooh, it's the second in the Lone Wolf and Cub series, and we'll be talking all about that kind of good stuff. We like the first one a whole bunch.
Not only is it, we do it occasionally, we literally did it the exact same time last year.
Sweet.
Was it that
I had
close?
To look it up. It was February 3rd, 2020.
Holy,
that is awesome.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. But it's the most wonderful time of the year.
It's a tradition.
Yeah. Well,
I love this tradition. Like,
you know how once, go ahead.
For once, it's a tradition I didn't come up with, so it's a good idea.
You know how I feel about my traditions, Portraits.
Oh, we got to keep all the traditions all of the time. And here's the thing. There's like...
First show in February.
The Groundhog's
We're watching
Day
a Lone
show.
Wolf and Cub.
Yeah, I'll remember Groundhog's Day is Lone Wolf and Cub time.
So we at least got, what, 4 more movies, 4 more years of this show at least? Because
looking at HBO Max, it looks like there might be 17 more of these.
There's plenty.
Well, if we really wanted to, and I don't know how, because I did look for it because I thought, boy, if there was a group of films that we could do, I tried to see if the Zatoichi Blind Swordsman movies were all there, because there's like 15 of those.
Oh, and there's what Hanzo the Razor's based on a manga. Did I get the name of that correct?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, there's another samurai series of movies that have been recommended to me that are based on manga, and it's something with Razor in it.
We'll figure it out, and but you can know it this time. Come February, that's Lone Wolf and Cub time, everybody.
First week in February.
Before we get into the show here itself, I want to try something a little bit new. I'm going to get copyrighted on YouTube, I'm sure. I get by with a little help from my friends. That's right, everybody. We'd like to take this time to thank all of our supporters over at patreon.com/HMP. New month and everything, so we got to kind of give all the accolades out to the people that need it. Now, coming in at the top levels here, this is the $40 icon level. We've got Derek, but you know him better as Sir Slick Derek the Night Bard.
Yes.
Coming in at that $40 level, but fear not, Sir Slick Derek of the Night Bard. You are joined by Tim, or as he's known around Texarkana, the Long Hauler. Thank you, boys, for coming in at that $40 level there. We really appreciate it.
I cannot believe how awesome those guys are.
That is really amazing. Thank you.
But not too far behind. There is that executive producer level of $20. Alex and Matt, excuse me, I can't talk today. Thank you guys for that. And then we have the Bryans, Brian K and Brian Z. I call them the Z Boys. Just try to stop those guys. You know, they're at that $20 level. And of course,
you all.
Thanks to all of those that come in below $20. $5 is the true bread and butter of all the support and everything. Speaking of which, we got a couple new supporters joining us at the $5 level. We have GGFN 2009. Sean, looks like we got to get GGFN 2009 a nickname.
Okay. It's GGFFIN 2009?
No, just FN. GGFN.
Like good game for now or something like that.
Yeah, good game for now, back in 2009.
Well, congratulations, because you now have a proper name. The only time, if you're going to write into Hero Movie Podcast or any of our other podcasts in our media empire.
That's what we got.
Oh, his name, their name, could be a lady. Their name now is Professor Lincoln Logs.
Oh, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got Professor Lincoln Logs. Very nice. Coming up next at the $1 level, and that's important to the value for value. It doesn't matter who you are. Coming up here, we have Kevin Fisher. Sean, what do we got for Kevin?
Kevin Fisher, you want some value for that dollar. Here's your value. Kevin Fisher, your HMP nickname is Patchy the Urban Pirate.
Whoa. I like the complicated ones.
And we've got Jeremy Hobbs. He's actually coming back in the fold. He's been with us previously. I can't remember if we've given Jeremy a nickname in the past, but we're going to do it anyway. Maybe he can have 2 nicknames. Sean, what do we got?
Jeremy Hobbs, you only have one HMP nickname, and this is the one. I don't know if you got one before. This is the good one. Your HMP nickname is Gerboni.
Not too shabby. And finally, in our new Patreon subscribers here, we have Jim. He's a man of his word. Last month, he actually sent, or last episode, rather, we read an email where he said he was going to join up. And he's named himself the Quiet Filipino Gentleman. I don't know, Sean, do we need anything more than that?
No, but we can put a nickname on the nickname because he's the Quiet Filipino, Jim the Quiet Filipino,
yeah.
Or the TQF for short.
Oh, well, I like that.
Ooh, I like
there you
that.
go. Just making it a little bit quicker if and we need it to be so. I like that. So again, we would like to thank all of our supporters, new supporters, long-term supporters, and even those that just spread the word, that share the show with a friend, shout us out on social media, time, talent, treasure. That's what we just ask. One or all 3 of those things, whatever you would like to. So just so you know that everyone who does sign up at patreon.com/HMP, you get everything in the listing. Just give the value for whatever you think is appropriate for this show, what you're getting from not only this show, but all the shows that we do. Whatever value that you get from that, just put that in a dollar form, send it our way. There's even links to PayPal if you want to do something like that. Just hit us up at hearmoviepodcast@gmail.com. We'll get you on all of that. Otherwise, go to patreon.com/HMP. Remember, pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone, and of course, you get to vote on the movie that we watch each month. That's patreon.com/HMP. Oh, we're so going to get banned on YouTube for that.
We need our own like stinger for that.
That's true, and that's where it comes into the talent. So if you are a music person out there and you can do better than what is clearly my sad effort, hit us up, man. We appreciate that. I'll try on something myself if we got nothing, but I think we got some talented listeners out there. I think people are. We underestimate everybody. There's a lot of talent out there, just lying dormant. We got to open that bad boy up. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and... What do you say we just do this?
Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
Bruce, Lone Wolf, and Cub, we've done it before. I'm sure he's going to pull out something absolutely brand new from his bag. What do you got, Bruce?
Oh, yeah, I've got that. Lone Wolf and Cub is an internationally admired and highly influential manga. Written by Kazuo Koike and illustrated by Goseki Kojima, it began publication in Japan in 1970. Its first volume sold 8 million copies in Japan. Highly regarded to its epic scope, detailed historical accuracy, and masterful artwork, it maintains devoted fans to this day. It isn't just the art that has left its mark on fans. The story is quite remarkable as well. It is at first glance an awesome tough guy against the world revenge story. But then a child is thrown into the mix. Seemingly out of place and discomforting, the Cub slowly begins to give his story of revenge layers of depth and consequence, all too absent in most violent comics. Ogami Ito is the Shogun's executioner, and when he is betrayed by power-hungry rivals who murder his wife, he is left thirsty for blood. But with an infant son at his side, so the duo set off on the road to hell as the murder-for-hire couple known as Lone Wolf and Cub. The comic has no shortage of sword fights, which I think you guys can understand interests me greatly, but the scale and scope of one of the fights is guaranteed to blow your minds. A duel in Lone Wolf and Cub is generally accepted to be the longest continuous fight in comic book history. Do either of you guys remember how many pages this duel lasts?
Wasn't it like 190 or something like that? Something ridiculous.
It's 178 pages.
Not bad, Portress. That's a
Yes.
pretty decent half guess right there. I'm like,
So a single sword fight is roughly the length of 8 single-issue Marvel or DC comics. So what is the magic of this story? It's not just on the page, literal butt kicking, but for me at least, it connects metaphorically with the figurative butt kickings I both give and take, making it through a world that seems to want to hinder me in every possible way just to provide for my children. But I'd say you don't have to be a parent. You just have to be any human other than that rare trust fund kid to get it. We all have responsibilities and passions and metaphorical cubs that we have to try to protect and love, and most importantly, try not to ruin while we do the doing that needs to get done. I understand my particular privilege. I know that not everyone can have a sword collection as vast and beautiful as mine. But I'd say you don't need a span of fire-forged razor-edged steel to find meaning in the 8,700 pages that is Lone Wolf and Cub.
But it don't hurt if you've got one, just lying around there, just in case.
Sword in each hand, reading my manga.
So how many swords are in your sword collection?
Not as many as I would like, but I've got 2 really nice ones and a couple that aren't so nice.
I'd
Probably
say
grand total about 5, 6.
Well, that's better because, I think you have to have at least 2 for it to be a collection. I think
No. A collection is 4 or more.
4 or more. Okay.
Well, I've got 2 I'm proud of, and then the others I let the local theater group use and stuff like that.
A lot of Robin Hood going on over there. Now, as
Shrek put my swords to good use.
Now, as you imagine, this is a movie from 1972 in Japan, so there's not going to be a good trailer. But I want to give you a feel of it. It's this right here. Yeah. Just imagine a dude pushing a little baby around in a cart, chopping off a leg.
With his shirt off way too much.
Yeah.
In the best underwear in movie history. I don't know when we'll get to that, but there's something about a thong that comes up to your nipples that's special.
So last time when we did the first Lone Wolf and Cub movie, I was very, very apprehensive because I was like, they are either going to love this or hate this. I was thrilled beyond all belief that you guys absolutely loved the movie. So what were your thoughts kind of going into this second one?
You want to go first, Sean?
Sure. So I was apprehensive and nervous because the first Lone Wolf and Cub is just such a treasure to me. It brought me so much joy, and I didn't want it to be lessened. And so coming into the second movie, I kept putting it off because I didn't want to hate it. And boy, do I not hate this movie. First of all, I don't know what it is about the actors in these movies and the direction in these movies, but they are perfect. And what I'm thinking of specifically, there is a moment in this movie, I don't know how many directors would be able to pull off what they do when the kid needs to get water to the lone wolf. And you see on the child's face that because he keeps trying to put the water in his hands and it keeps falling out of his hands and he can't figure it out. And you see everything happening on the child's face that he's like, okay, so that isn't working. Okay, that doesn't work either. And then he comes up with an idea, and his face doesn't make a face that a child in a sitcom would of like, oh, I have a good idea. You see it register over his face that he knows how he's going to do this. And so you see the attempt, and then he does achieve it by putting the water in his mouth and then spitting the water into Lone Wolf's mouth. All of this. This is a scene that is so small and so perfect and so rare, especially in a movie where it's just blood and guts all the time. And then on top of it, there's all of these really small moments, like when you see them breaking up the bread and eating together, and he hands the child the little teacup, and the child takes the teacup. I mean, it's just, there's so much about these movies to recommend them that it kind of, it's so special. I don't want them to be less special as we move along. But I have a fear. I have the Godzilla fear of these movies, where the first Godzilla movie is amazing and a treasure, and everything after that are a bunch of dumb guys in suits. So, like, I really don't want that to happen. I think the fact that it's on Criterion Collection is probably helpful. Probably knowing that, okay, so you're going to have a certain level of quality that you might not have with other Toho properties.
Yeah.
I love these movies. And Adam, like, you've done a lot of terrible things.
That's true.
But
not just on the show.
But this is a remarkable gift that you have given me, and I thank you for that.
I had one of the roughest weeks I've had in a long time. Stressful week, exhausting week. I really, really needed some escapism on Friday night when I sat back to watch this, and it just did not disappoint. I mean, there's nothing, there's not a single frame in this movie that would serve as like a trigger for what's going on in my real life at all. You know what I mean? Like as soon as I start the movie, there's not even really an intro. There's just a guy with a wicker basket on his head running at Lone Wolf. He gets chopped in the head out of nowhere. Another guy with the wicker basket jumps on his shoulders and he gets chopped in the head too. And from that moment, all my problems were gone. I had 2 hours of what I'm going to say is like some really off the wall stuff. Some things that are unintentionally funny. But I like it. Like I'm not trying to, it's not like it's so bad it's good. It's just, it's perfect for me. And I also like knowing that like if somebody walked in the room in the middle of that movie, they would just shake their head and say nope and walk right back out.
There are a couple of moments where you would be like, oh wait, no, I have to, no, that's not what you think you saw. There's a whole thing that's leading up to this. You don't know what, come on now.
The time my wife would walk in would probably be when Cub was backhanding the naked chowder bucket.
Yeah.
For like no real reason.
That's precisely the point I was talking about. Like someone walks in and you got to explain what's going on here. It's like, why is that little kid batting at that lady's stuff?
There was a little more toddler wiener in this movie than I'm used to, but other than that,
it was a weird time, and the 70s are strange.
I gotta say, the closest I've come to backing out of the driveway on this movie is the scene where I was like, "Oh no, don't get rapey!"
And he didn't.
And he didn't.
Totally misdirected me. And I've seen this movie before. This is my second time watching it. I forgot that it was a false red herring there.
Now, what you'll notice with this, and Bruce, you kind of touched at it there just a second ago, is that this movie takes place directly after that first movie, so much so that we show you the end of the last movie. Okay. I love these types of movies because that bit you were talking about, the fight that's right at the beginning, that's the end of the last movie.
It looks like they shot the thing right after they shot the last movie too, because that kid is not much older than he was at the end of the first one.
It's pretty darn close.
Yeah, I feel like they might have shot these movies almost like you'd do a season of television. They just had 6 months or whatever put aside, and they just worked their way through them.
And I gotta say, there's something about this movie that I'm using this term a lot lately for movies that I like, but there's a charm to this movie that it allows it to, in my head, to get away with things that other movies would not be able to get away with. Like, for instance, there are certain things in this movie where it's very clearly a set and it does not matter.
No, and there were a long time, I mean, because we're in the 70s at this point, so even back to the 60s and really even some of the 50s. Now, granted, it's a different country, but their cinema histories are somewhat similar in a way, is all of the Shaw Brothers stuff. And everything that they did was on a backlot, and you never cared. It only just got better and stuff over time. And now that we're in the 70s and stuff, it is so cool to see how there's inception as far as creativity goes, because all of the spaghetti westerns and stuff stole from all the samurai films, and now we're at a point where the samurai films are stealing from spaghetti westerns.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's something about this. The other thing about these Lone Wolf and Cub movies is that the cinematography in these movies is truly, truly amazing. The scene where they're going through the woods, and it's just gorgeous and perfect and so spectacular, frame by frame by frame, watching those scenes. And a lesser director, it's gonna look like a really bad B movie, and it just doesn't. It looks like it looks like art. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. One of the main things that I think might get overlooked in this movie is its use of sound, because not only of music itself, but because there's a lot of that where we are in his pretty much, Wolf's head here, trying to figure out exactly what's going on. They're in the little tub there at the kind of near the beginning, and he's just kind of radaring everything in the area. It feels like he can hear something, he can feel something, and because they're on this kind of death mission, as we remember from the first movie, after his wife get killed, him and his child are essentially traveling into hell at this point, so they're going through all of this mess, and he just sees in kind of almost... we hear that he sees or feels like some sort of outside entity coming towards him at all of these times, and that's when your music kicks up, and you have these really cool pan-arounds where you'll see like his face and the kid's face. That kid is fantastic.
Yeah,
oh
he
my
really
gosh.
is.
That
And
kid,
this
under
movie-
3 years old at least, but man.
This movie had the moment that the writer of the manga says defines Lone Wolf. And that's when they're threatening to kill Cub. And he says, go ahead. He's not afraid to die. He'll get to be with his mother. And like he says, that defines him different from any other comic book character, that they don't care if you kill the kid, because that would be his one weakness is the kid. And he kind of inverts that or subverts that trope. And that moment showed through in this movie.
And that's where
Well,
he's
they have
like the
that
Punisher.
great, but they also have that other great moment where, hey, didn't you say you don't care, but you ran as fast as you could to save him? And he's like, well, just because if he goes to see his mother, you know, I still want to hang out with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's,
Mom will be pissed.
it's pretty, you know, I'm going to heap all of the praise that I possibly can on this thing. It's so joyous. It's so wonderful. I'm never bored. It totally passes the phone test. There is craziness in this movie a couple of times.
Yeah, we get a nice little 7-minute discussion of the economics of feudal Japan's indigo trade. Like they're even talking about converting the currency from Rios to Kios and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, you would not see that in an action movie today.
Or you also wouldn't see it in an action movie, a small child murdering 3 people.
That's true.
And getting a good job.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, maybe that's why I love these movies. Cub is like the youngest version of my like killer kid.
It's
course.
true. It's Hit Girl 50 years before Hit Girl.
Yes.
The other one of the most insane things I've ever seen in a movie is also in this movie, which just gives me so much pleasure, which is when the lady hops out of her dress
Yes.
and runs backwards.
That's the next point I was going to bring in, is that is a total, like, no explanation. None of it makes any sense to me, but I'm loving it. And I'm loving that they don't explain it. And it's one of those off the wall things that it's like what David Lynch is always trying to accomplish, but he sort of falls short of being, because he's just being weird to be weird. Here we have a great story built around this totally irrational moment, and the fact that she runs away backwards is kind of funny to me. Like nobody will notice she's running away because she's going backwards.
And then at the same time, too, is almost like because she got so far so fast, it's almost like she teleported or something. I don't know how that really worked, because she all of a sudden she's like a good quarter half mile away. All of a sudden, just back and gone.
And I love the way her kimono, or whatever you would call the robe she's wearing, how it totally maintains its form when she jumps out.
That's the craziest part to me, is that it's like she's the Flash or something.
Yes. And she can run away faster, I guess, without the robe.
It's so wonderful. I honestly, if you have HBO Max and you have not seen any of these movies, I'm going to go as far as to call them films. These are actually films. You should totally watch one. And if you hate it, you know what these movies are like to me? These are the movies that you think karate movies are, and they're not.
Yeah.
This is literally the thing that you want those karate movies to be. It's so amazing. It's just an amazing story. It's so good.
And it was the Criterion version of the film. I didn't know. I mean, does Criterion work with Turner Classic Movies regularly, Adam?
Yeah, there's a little bit of symbiotic connection between all of those. Matt Smith could tell you a little bit more about that kind of stuff than I could, because he does a little bit with each of those guys. But yeah, there's some relations going down in a couple of ways. A lot of TCM ties, and it's all right stuff. I don't know.
I really like the Criterion version, which is what I watched for the first one. So I just was really happy when I saw the Criterion logo coming up at the beginning.
Yeah, they've done a pretty good job at going through and restoring stuff, and like these movies really do look fantastic for as old as they were, and under the conditions with which a lot of these movies were shot, which is to say not ideal. It looks fantastic.
And you were talking, both of you were mentioning how good the sound is, the sound mix, the sound editing. Could you imagine, I don't want to be like the snobby guy, but could you imagine how much less enjoyable this movie would be if it was dubbed?
Yes, well, if it's dubbed poorly. I mean, there are some good dubs out there. There are some poor ones, but man, there is something about, especially with, our lead and his very, kind of staccato voice and everything. He's very even keeled through everything that he does. And you would be losing something, I think, in a dub from that, because like
it would have to mess up the sound mix a little bit too.
Maybe not nearly as much as you think. Again, this is back in the 70s, so there's like 8 billion different things to figure out.
Is Japan using separate tracks? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
At this time, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But, you can't sit there and you don't look at it and go, oh, this seems like it's off. No, it's dead on.
Yeah, and it was one of those. They don't spend a lot of time talking either, especially not Lone Wolf and Cub. So it was one of those subtitled movies where I didn't feel like I was missing anything happening on the screen when I'm reading the subtitles either. It was really nice.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely one that I think, if you watched, you had 0 subtitles, you could pretty much guess just about everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that's when you know that you're at a decent storytelling.
Or if there were no subtitles, when the lady jumped out of her robe and started running backwards, you would say, man, I wish I knew why she did that. Then you get the subtitles and you still don't know why.
And you're like, oh, well, okay, sure.
There were some great moments like that too. And then there's one moment, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but when the main lady with all her lady assassins is showing off to the ninja clan that comes in there.
The laugher?
Yes. And she has all her ladies pull out. I don't know if they're really long knives or really short swords, but did you notice where they pulled those swords out?
Where are you going with this person? Why am I horrified?
Well, did you see, like, it made me wonder, like, are they doing this intentionally or did they just not, but like,
I am not sure of that, but if you do want to see a version that's worse than what you're thinking, go check out a movie called Robo Geisha. That's all I'll say about that. Oh man,
well, but they
it's worse than that.
They stored their swords just below their waist, and where the robe crossed over, and they pulled them out. I just
figured it was like
unfortunate placement.
I figure it's like kind of Electra, where it's like right there by your thigh or whatever.
Yeah, that's
but because they have to reach into the crevice in the robe to pull them out, it just had an
maybe you should have gone inner as opposed to outer. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not dressing these ladies, but I like how this guy. To me, this is so cool. Is that this guy goes, I need to go after this dude and kill him. I can't do that. Give me your toughest people. And then they ask this, get your toughest guy. We'll show you what these ladies can do. And they just destroy this guy.
They cut his nose.
They cut his nose off, his ears off. Like it's just practically his entire face, and then
he's just a
arms,
torso
legs.
around.
It's all gone. And these ladies just like. And everyone, whenever they're finished with all their battles and everything, just slides that sword into the sheath, and it's just awesome. I don't care who does it.
Yeah, sure.
And most of Ito's kills and everything, his sword is back in its scabbard before people hit the ground. That's how fast he is. He just cuts. Everyone in the room is dead. Back in, and then they fall. I love it.
And I do love how accurate he is at throwing blades.
Oh yeah, where they throw a knife past his head and everything, and he's like, "Hey, give me that knife back," and he throws it right back into the sword holder, kind of thing.
And then he throws
perfect.
the sword like across 3 rooms and stabs a ninja that's hiding on the other side of the paper wall.
He hears a guy through a doorway, throws the thing, and then. But the best part is too, though, is that he just goes, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Go get my sword for me? Appreciate that."
I do love the way that he's just awesome at everything. Like he's the awesomest at any kind of combat skill, whatever it is. Like they talk about how he's an expert with a horse sword, a specific type of sword for an unhorsed man to fight against a guy riding on a horse. But he's good with every single thing he uses. Like he is better than everybody at everything when it comes to fighting.
and it's perfect.
Yeah. Now the three brothers,
Yes.
the three brothers that each have their own weapon. One has
My favorite bad guys in the entire thing.
These guys are so cool. And I don't know if, I guess we probably had seen them at this point, but all I can think of is the guys in Legion with that basic sort of hat on and everything.
Oh yeah. All I can think is the other two brothers, they're kind of jealous of the guy that has the Wolverine claws. Like he's far and away the coolest of the three. What's the oldest?
You know what's the best thing about the Wolverine claws is that is what at least what he attaches to his wrist when they show you the close up of him doing that. That is all metal. Someone made that.
Yes.
And it's not. I'm sure he has like a fakie when he's actually clawing it.
Nope, he's stabbing it real.
But when they show the close up one, that is actual metal, and that's actual workmanship that you're seeing, and it's really good work. Like that's the other thing to it is that like it is very, very good metal work that's happening with that claw that he attaches to himself.
And I'd kind of like to have a set of those.
Now, where I think a lot of people will recognize those from, and I don't know, I'm not saying that this was the first movie to do it, but a movie that did it 2 years later than this that I think most people would probably recognize is Enter the Dragon. They had one of these in there. But and also it's Vega from Street Fighter. If we're getting real specific as to where it comes from, that's where I always that's the correlation.
That was your go-to,
yeah. Because they pulled it straight from these kung fu movies from the 70s.
Yes.
They're like, I like that, and that's probably, I don't know, those are probably like real accurate weapons of some form.
I just like to have a set for like taking out the trash. Just grab the garbage bags, throw them into the garbage can.
Oh, if I was like a garbage man, you're hanging off a garbage truck and you're just clawing bags and throwing them in there. You talk about some giant shoulders at the end of the day.
Oh man, putting hay in the hayloft, that'd be great.
Oh, come on. But I loved all those dudes, and so, but I guess you have the one guy that's got like the flying kind of club sort of thing, and that's okay. And the other guy just has spikes on his gloves, but it's not the claws.
It's like the same principle as the claws, but less effective.
Yeah,
you might as well get a second set of claws, but I guess Mom told him they all had to be different.
They got to get right up on them for the short claws. Yeah. That's no good.
One of them should have been an archer. You can always use an archer in your trio.
Yeah, but then I don't know. Well, the best part is like because they say it at one point where he ends up throwing a sword to kill a guy, and he was just like, "Listen, I didn't think you'd be throwing swords, all right?"
He's falling, that's against the rules.
He's falling down and dead, and he's just like, I never really considered that you might be throwing that.
Well, and what about the soliloquy from the brother with the Wolverine claws, where he goes on for about 10 minutes about how you have cut me perfectly. I have wanted to cut someone like this through their neck my entire life, and you have done it to me.
Okay.
Just amazing.
So let me describe this to people. The cut that is on, like he has cut him right at his jugular, but it's like such a wisp of a cut that it is like the perfect cut to where it's not just streaming blood out, it's misting. It's coming out. It comes out.
That's the point. It makes the whistle.
Exactly. And it whistles this perfect tune of death. And he's like, I always wanted to do this. I never thought I'd be listening to my own. It's like, it's so like over the top and poetic. I love it.
It's basically Samurai Game Recognized Game.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
Then he falls on the ground and it just starts flooding out. It's so good.
Oh, I said I can never get enough of those blood spurters, man. I love the blood spurters in this movie.
Oh, you got to have the high PSI blood on these things. That's the best part. Like, just to give you an idea, like here are a couple of things. If you haven't seen this movie, here's what happens. Limbs are cut off, all of them. Every single limb that you could imagine cut off. A guy gets several. I think at least two guys are cut right in the middle of the head. One guy, we see that head fall in half, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What else? There's a couple people are like impaled on that. It's insane. But
there's vegetables that are used as weaponry. And some ladies.
Yes, there are weaponized carrots. I don't know. They don't quite look like carrots, but they look more like carrots than anything else.
They're daikon radish is what that is.
And then after he wins the fight, he's pushing off the baby cart, and there's still a radish like just dangling out of the front of the baby cart.
But that's what's so cool about that is like he's traveling on this road. He's got the kid in the cart, and he knows something's up. He feels it in his bones, and you can hear it in the music and stuff, see it in the camera work. He knows what's going on. Something is not right here. And of course, you don't believe that women assassins are going to be the ones that are there, but they're coming out of the woodwork. They're all dressed up in different little outfits and stuff, and he does not skip a beat. He murders all of them in just the most.
No.
Well,
he does not murder all of them. The baby murders too.
That's true.
The highly weaponized baby cart. I feel like the baby cart got a step up in technology from the last movie.
He kicks the cart down the way, and it's like the kid knows, oh, I need to hit the lever to make the knives come out of the wheels. And then just slice people's feet off left and right.
And when the boat catches on fire, they even use the baby cart as like a rescue vehicle. I mean, it's like everything. It's like the utility belt for Batman, only it's a baby cart. Way better than a belt.
Yeah,
I didn't think that the thing would be able to hold water, but it can.
And it can hold 2 adults and 1 toddler out in the ocean.
It's just like, we got to get out of here. Quick, throw the cart overboard with the kid inside of it.
Yes.
How many times you been on a boat and just go, I need to save myself and my kid. I'm going to chuck this cart out off the side. So good.
So I guess the part that I did not realize from the first movie is that everybody recognizes Lone Wolf. I didn't understand that the first time.
Oh yeah, he's the most famous assassin in Japan now. And, you know, people put out the demon posters when they want him, and when he sees them, you know, he builds the little rocks to tell him where to meet him, and then they meet him and hire him for an assassination.
Man.
Yeah,
and he like doesn't care who knows. Like he's that cool kind of guy that like if a stranger walks up to him and says, "Hey, you want to fight?" He's like, "Okay." Like there's no trying to hide or avoid confrontation with Lone Wolf.
So essentially, this is a Ronin samurai film, but in 1972 that is just John Wick. That's essentially what this all is.
Yes.
This one is way more John Wick than the first one, I thought, because this one seems to have that nonstop fighting pace from beginning to end.
And everybody is out to get him. Just like John Wick, it's like, oh, guess what? We now got this big giant mark out in your head and everything. And because of this Indigo company and all that that puts another thing into it. So it is like everybody wants a piece of him.
And I just can't wait to see how they keep elevating this. Like every year when we come back to it, I just can't wait to see what's in the next one.
I've only ever seen these two though. That's my thing. So this is as far as I've actually been with this series so far. Now let me ask you guys this, because this is what happened initially in America. Is Lone Wolf and Cub, this movie and the last movie, were both edited together about 90 minutes and then put out as Shogun Assassin, dubbed into English and everything for the American audience, and that was what was put out there. Could you see these two movies being condensed down to a good old 90 minutes?
Sure, but they're taking away the parts of the movie that I love.
Yeah.
Those small little moments.
Yeah, I think if you end up going, and I've only seen Shogun Assassin once. I lent out the DVD, and wouldn't you know it, that never returned. And at that time, though, I realized that it was based on, these previous two movies, and so I watched those movies, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, it is a lot better. And I've totally forgotten everything that was in Shogun Assassin for the most part, because why would you want to see something that's shorter? Watch this one. You're way better. And again, it's double feature worthy, because they one stops and then the other one begins right where that one left off.
And
yeah, basically.
This really makes me want to read the manga, but I have a feeling like this might be one of those situations where the movie's better than the comic, but I don't know yet because I haven't read it. You
and see, I can understand me not reading, but it almost doesn't seem to fit.
I struggle with manga a little bit, the back to front.
I was about to say, you're like, oh man, I spoiled it. That's just, so many years of habit. And then that's starting the left side, and you see the last panel, I am your father, and you're like, crap. Well, I guess that's the end of that book. Any other kind of highlights and stuff for you? I love any of the anytime like a group of assassins goes after somebody, I am all about that. I don't care if it is this or John Wick or whatever. I like a guy who just goes, there's going to be all of these, rows and rows of villains coming out at you. You got to take them all out. He gets down, and just like any old superhero movie, he's kind of lost his power. His dad is, conked out and everything. And the kid, like you said, Sean, the best part is when he is going through, go to the Buddha statue, takes that offering that was left there so he can feed dad, puts his little jacket on there and stuff like that. There are those moments that you're absolutely right. If you take those moments out of this thing, it takes away from what the actual story is.
And the performance.
Both Lone Wolf and Cub are perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're getting to that point. Well, not that we weren't there really in the first film, but every time you see Ito's face, he is just like, he is on the edge of just everything. His hair is just always messed up. His eyes are bloodshot and sagging, and he just is like, I want to kill everything. Y'all done been testing me too much, and I'm going to have to hurt somebody. I don't want to have to do it. I just want to go take my child, go down to the river Styx and meet my dead wife. and y'all playing around like this is some sort of a game. I just want to go peacefully die. Thank you very much.
I did see an interview with the guy who wrote the manga, and he said, when they first showed him this actor that was going to be Lone Wolf in the movie, he was like, oh, what? This guy's awful. You're like insulting me. Then he saw him act and he said, oh, okay, I get it. You cast an actor. Yeah, it was great.
And
I will say there is one thing I do want to talk about, and I totally forgot about this, which is the stunt double for this guy. Looks literally nothing like him. He is probably 100 pounds skinnier. And there's this scene where he's got to jump over something. And it is so clearly not the actor that I was like, wow, he lost a lot of weight for that shot.
But there are a couple of moments when you do see that it's him where you're actually very surprised. Like his physical prowess is actually surprising for a dude as big as he
for
is.
A man of his weight. He's like the Japanese Bam Bam Bigelow.
I think part of the legend around this is for his audition, he did a backflip to prove he could.
Wow.
Now, if there's that footage out there, I could watch that all day.
Yeah, they should have been running on that one if they weren't, because I'd pay top dollar. Wait, well, here's the thing though. If he would have been able to do a backflip, don't you feel like we would have seen one by 2 movies in? What are you holding back for? You got a 280-pound dude that can't do a backflip. Make him do it.
Anybody who's ever been able to do a backflip will always do one last backflip. And then they can't do it anymore. So maybe that was his one last backflip.
Is it what you like that Looney Tunes? I can only do it once.
When there was a time in my life I could kick as high as my ear. That is not today.
Now, if I fall and my foot is up in the air, that kind of counts as that. All right, before we get to our final rating here and everything, we do have to ask ourselves one very important question, is how does this Japanese movie from 1971 relate back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone? Best of luck, Sean.
I am going to try to do the opening where I thank you in the same level that our actor who plays Lone Wolf did it.
Okay, perfect.
Says his lines. Thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Pretty good.
Hey, Sean, the last time you found the Stallone connection for Lone Wolf and Cub, I'd say the connection was tenuous at best. What are you going to do this week? And why does it feel like you're probably just going to reheat the exact same material as last time? Well, you feel like that. There's good reason for that, because I am. So if you remember any of this and you think it's going to take a turn sideways from the way it did before, because that is something that I would do, you'd be wrong this time. It's going to be the same. And I'll begin reading it now. I've quit a lot of things in my life. I'm divorced. I used to be a comedian. I once quit a job selling motivational posters door to door after the first hour because, I was selling motivational posters door to door.
Makes sense.
I don't know where that guy who talked me into the job is today, but I hope he's dead and rotting in hell. During high school, I quit a relationship I was in because after a month of dating, she said she wanted me to go to church with her. Who am I, the Pope? And one time I quit college because the professor told me if I was really, really lucky when I graduated, I'd get a job making exactly half of what I was already making at the job I had already had. So you see, I'm a quitter. But one thing I would never quit is you, HMPers. You make my heart whistle like that bird that Fred Flintstone's boss brutalizes, signifying the end of each workday. And that's why I dug and I dug and I dug and I dug. There had to be a Stallone connection here. This movie was too big to not have one. Who cares that everyone directly responsible for making it died 2 years before Stallone ever made a movie? Who cares that the entire cast and crew, including the baby, never once worked on an English-speaking movie? There had to be something. And so guess what I did? I asked myself, WWHD, what would HMPers do? And then I found it. You see, Sylvester Stallone was in a movie at the beginning of his career called Victory, a movie where Sylvester Stallone insisted on doing his own stunts until he broke his hand. It also starred Pele and Michael Caine, which are a bunch of weird people to throw together into a movie. And when that movie got released in Japan, it was released by the production company called Toho. And you know who produced the movie Lone Wolf and Cub? Toho. Yes, there's your frickin' Stallone connection. Yes, I may have quit on college and Carmen Ayezi and a company that sells motivational posters door to door and comedy and my first wife, but I would never quit on you, and I never will. You're welcome. And there you have it, HMPers and Dingalingers. This week's Stallone connection is the same as our February 3rd, 2020 episode of HMP Toho Productions. Adam and Bruce, this is the 341st episode of this bit, and still no word from Sylvester Stallone.
I don't know about you, Bruce, but I'm in the market for like a hang in there baby poster, you know, with like a little cat holding on to
Only
it.
if it's a monkey with really bad hair.
I like, yeah.
It was worse than that. It was like maybe like, it was like MC Escher. Like it was like it was past the date where it would have been cool at the time. So it wasn't awesome motivational posters where you're like, look what I got from some guy. Like it was like just lame.
And were they like $22 a piece or something ridiculous too?
They were a ridiculous amount of money.
And then, but if you want them framed, that's an extra $250. They make their money on the frames. Let's be honest.
Oh man.
Well, let's get down to it, boys. Here at Hear Movie Podcast, we have our own patented Robin rating system. If you'd like to check that out, head on down to our Reddit, reddit.com/r/Hear Movie Podcast. It's right up there at the top. And join up while you do. Bruce, where does Lone Wolf and Cub, Baby Cart to the River Styx, fall on the Robin rating system for you?
It's all Dick Grayson for me, man. It's just what I needed this week, and I can't give it anything less than the best.
Simply the best. Sean?
It's straight dick, baby.
Yes.
Grayson.
Yes. Dick Grayson's all around. This movie is super fun. Again, I feel like I got to recommend the double feature on this because they are just so back to back. You can enjoy yourself, a whole big afternoon of body parts getting cut off everywhere. And like you said, I think this one, we start dialing up a lot of, there's enough like really cool looking action in the first one, but this one, I think the body count's probably close to, feels like double, right?
I say go pick up a big order of sushi from Sheets and sit back home and watch the double feature.
First of all, listen, Hear Movie Podcast cannot be responsible for anyone who picks up sushi at Sheets.
I do not condone those actions.
Go to your local gas station then and get some sushi.
It's like, it doesn't have to be Sheets. It could be a racetrack. It doesn't matter.
Maybe you're a Quick Trip guy.
Just stay away from marathon sushi.
Just get your sausage rolls off of the... just come on, Bruce. Sheets. I ought to tell you what. Well, that is it for this episode. Next week, we are going back in time, everybody, because the first episode of Hear Movie Podcast, we actually reviewed Amazing Spider-Man 2. And lo, these almost 7 years were coming up on here. For whatever reason, we did not, record an episode about Amazing Spider-Man 1 from 2012. So, holy cow, that movie is from 2012.
That movie is almost 10 years old.
That's amazing. So we'll see what held up, what didn't hold up, and but hey, we may be seeing Andrew Garfield at some point in the not too future anyway. So good to get a little bit of a refresher. And of course, we've got some other very big things headed your way. And if you knew about those, you'd know about them because you were over at patreon.com/HMP. That's where we talk about things like this in the Dinger Zone. We got a lot of things going on, man. So check that out. Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I'd love for people to check out what I'm doing on YouTube. I have a video called The Legion of Superheroes in a Nutshell. I think it's the best video I've made so far. So I'd like for anybody who hasn't checked it out yet to please just go give it a look. Let me know what you think. I'm dying for more subscribers. So hit the subscribe button, help me out there, but go check it out. The Legion of Superheroes in a Nutshell.
The link for that is going to be in the show notes as usual. And guys, get on board with this because Bruce, the way that he is progressing in the quality of the videos already, even in the short amount of time that he's been doing them, the kid's gonna be an expert by no time. He's just you've gotten so good so fast. So
well, thank you.
Get on board now because I got a feeling they're only getting even better than what they are right now, and they're much better than any of my first YouTube attempts. I'll definitely tell you that much. Some of those were like yikes. Sean, what else?
I would like to bring up something that we don't talk about an awful lot on this show, which is that we have had now 3 very good episodes of Hero Movie Podcast, meaning what we were watching was good. I don't know if that has ever happened 3 in a row because we have Lone Wolf and Cub. Last week was Snowpiercer. The week before that was Puma Man. That is a 3 runner, and we've never hit this before. I don't think.
Where time to retire.
It's kind of amazing, and so that's been really fun. You can reach me at Twitter at Sweet Chauncey from the internet ! That's Sean Kovacs 4. That's SeanKovacs and the numeral 4.
And I listen, I don't know if it's the movies that we're doing or whatever, but like our numbers are just slowly climbing up and everything. So either we're doing such a great job or you guys are doing a fantastic job of getting our show out there, tweeting other people, telling people about the show and stuff like that. So we appreciate that. I got a couple reviews we'll read next episode because
we got reviews.
We got a couple of new reviews here and stuff. So we'll check those out. Next
give
episode.
us a little taste. Any humdingers?
Oh, there is definitely a humdinger in there. I'll go ahead and pull one up because I got one that's right here at the bat. Oh, nice. Nope, that's the old one. I lied. So we'll cover all that kind of good stuff next week. And check out WandaVision 30 Questions, for heaven's sake. If you are into WandaVision, and you should be because that show is getting pretty darn good, why don't you head on over to WandaVision 30 Questions wherever you find finer podcasts and subscribe to that bad boy today. And if you can, review that one as well. We really appreciate that. That is it, everybody. Join us next week when we're talking Amazing Spider-Man from 2012. For Sweet Chauncey Kovacs from the internet, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Porteous. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.